Welcome to this video, guys. This is Snowman. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We're going to do a little show and tell here on a couple of Russian bayonets. And just so you guys know, these are Chinese variants, okay? I bought these from a Chinese manufacturer. This is a knockoff. So these aren't from the actual Campo factory. They did the boxes, did the paperwork. We're going to look at that. I get these because I have a lot of fun with them. Initially, when I first started getting these Chinese knives, I would get them to practice my primary grinds. When for my knife making, I would get them to practice on the primaries. I would put secondary cutting edges on them. And as I progressed as a knife maker and got better at doing those things and mastered them, the more I got a hold of these Chinese knives. They're not bad knives. They're decent quality knives. A lot of knives you guys don't realize, a lot of knives that are coming in from Charade, a lot of these companies, they're all made in China these days. They've got the CNC machining. Now, I'm not saying these are as good as the actual Russian version, but with a few little modifications, particularly like I changed the primary, not the primary, but the secondary grinds, the secondary cutting edges. I make them at 15 degrees because these actually come around 25, 30 degrees, which in my opinion for a combat knife or a bayonet is unacceptable. You need it 15 degrees. You need it to be able to get razor sharp so you can deploy it for that one time when you need it to save your life. That's the whole idea behind a bayonet, okay? And we're going to talk about that, what I feel like the Russians' thought process was, because to me, when they built these things, it's almost like the bayonet was third. It wasn't even secondary. So the primary goal of this knife, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, is they wanted it to be a hand-to-hand combat implement and to be able to just for a soldier to have something to pull out and cut things, okay? But primarily in warfare, particularly these were made for military, it's for combat, guys, hand-to-hand. They've made them lighter. These are lighter than your standard M9s. So let's get into this real quickly. I'm going to try to get going on this. I wrote on here Russian 6x9-1 bayonet, 8 CR13, molybdenum, and vanadium. They put molybdenum in there and vanadium, which is really great. It's not going to be equivalent to probably the Russian steel is a little better, but that's not a bad steel, guys. Okay. Again, they've got the Campo. It's pronounced Campo in English version. They got Camno. That's pronounced Campo. This is from their factory. They made lots of different things. You can look them up. They made dive knives, various aircraft components for military. Comes with a leg retention strap, which is really cool. We're going to look at the frog. I want to look at the. We're going to take a look at all this knife and the bayonet sheath system. But here's the manual. It's all in Russia. I wrote on here data fact sheet manual in Russian. The whole thing's in Russian. They did put the commercial variant information on here with one stamping. It's copied from how Russians would do it. On the military version, they have a page that has a lot of these different stampings. So that's the difference. This has an open page here, which is going to be good because when I do my enhancements and modifications, I'm going to log it in here and I'll put it in with the knife when I get through with them, because I'm going to make these even better. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And I usually get these 2 at a time. I got other videos coming up. We're going to show you the AKM 6x5, the HB5 bayonet, which is this one. I got 2 of those. Again, these are Chinese variants. And you guys be sure to check back on those videos. I'll do a show and tell and review on those. So here we got it. Let's take the knife out. Right off the bat, the retention strap. You seen that I just deployed that. I love that style because I think that's brilliant on the Russians' behalf, because if you got cold weather, you need something simplistic. It just works. It's easy. Bam. You know, you don't have a snap there that's going to get cold and wet and it's going to freeze together. I think this is a great idea. So before we look at the knife and get into the knife bayonets, let's just take a look at this real quick. We've got the same type of frog, is exact, pretty close copy to theirs, but there's some differences. With this Chinese version, you got a brighter forest green coloring. With the real Russian ones, the ones that come from Russia, it's more of an olive drab color. Okay. They put the snap on this side instead of this side, and they didn't leave enough what I call grab tab. It needs to be out here about right there. You need more grab tab. Okay. Plastic polymer. It's pretty good. You know, this is the type of material that you're going to see. It's like a hard shell polymer plastic. This is what a lot of companies make with their knives. We're going to look at the, before I talk about the stone, let's go ahead and look at this. We got our 3 to 5 millimeter Constantina wire cutter, which is built right into that scabbard system, which is really cool. Medium grade stone. It's a medium coarse stone. The Russian one has a better stone to it. Theirs is actually a diamond stone with a finer grit. It's really cool, and it's got 2 retention screws that go in. It's just, you can tell it's just better. I would have liked to see them put a better stone in this, but for the price point, hey, you know. But the thing about it is, you guys don't realize the Russian ones, the prices over there are not as expensive as you think. It's guys that put them on the internet, on eBay. They're asking like $1,200, particularly for their military version. That military version only runs $40-50 in Russia, so they're marked way, way up. And I've always said it before. You know, what is the true value of an item? Well, it's what somebody's willing to give for it. If there's somebody out there willing to give $1,200 for it, hey, you know, it's worth $1,200. To me, that's too much money. That's just me. And anyway, it's a really cool system. I love the frog. I'd like to see more of a grab tab on here. It doesn't matter. It's not that big a deal that this unsnaps this side, but they need to put more grab tab on there, because when you're in emergency, seconds count. They just do. Love the retention. This kind of, when the knife, the bayonet goes into this sheath, right here, it's a decent lock, but it's not one that you're going to be able to trust. Now, I don't have a Russian one here to compare, but I would bet theirs locks a little bit better. I don't know. This is not bad. Here's what I do love. We're going to talk about this knife, and there's things that I love about it. There's things that I don't like about it. First of all, it's got a really nice handle material. It's almost malleable, so it's like a hard rubber. So that index is real nice. It feels real good in the hand. It's got the one-sided tab there for the bayonet lock. The M9 version, the US version, has 2. Why the Russians just chose 1, I don't know. But they got a window punch, window breach, which is great. So that, then by having 1 on there, tells me attaching this to a battle rifle is their last priority. To me, I would say the primary thing is hand-to-hand combat, having a good utility knife to get out to be able to cut things. And in combat, you're going to want to lacerate, you're going to want to penetrate. It's all by hand-to-hand. That's what hand-to-hand is about, melee combat. Now, attaching to battle rifles, in my opinion, Russians, they're war-driven. They've just got that mentality. There's almost an arrogance to their thought process. To me, Russians are going to be thinking, you're not even going to get close to us for us to attach to the battle rifle. So that's why I don't think they put much emphasis in that, only having 1. That's just my opinion. Opinions vary. Okay, here's how you tell the difference between this Russian copy, this is a Chinese to a Russian. The fullers. These have ground end fullers, where it should have been CNC machine, where you have circle ends, 180 degree circle ends, and not these bullet ends that kind of taper up. I call them bullet ends because if you take a 22 bullet, lay it right in there, looks just like a bullet end. See it? Whereas CNC machining ones will have they look round, they look contoured, and 180 degrees. That's the difference right there that you can tell right off the bat. They put 30-degree secondary cutting edges on there. They didn't put a lot of effort into getting them nice at all. I'll redo those at 15 degrees and optimize those. And they're going to be razor sharp when I'm done. Center them up. Now, this isn't bad. These were ground in by, these weren't CNC machined in. That's a grind line. And that's how you get those bullet ends. But that's how you can tell. Now, there is the prototype that the Russians did, which was the WH1. It has the shorter version, fuller, with the bullet ends. They just ground theirs in. Of course, it was probably a prototype. You know, they didn't want to mess with CNC machining, but they could have done that. But right off the bat, if you want to quickly know, look at your fullers. Does it have bullet ends, or does it have the CNC machine 180-degree circle ends? If it has those, the circle ends, then you know it's authentic. These are marked 6x9-1. There's no serial number. Your military versions have a serial number on this side. I haven't even measured the blade. I don't know what I did with my tape measure. It appears like it's a little bit over 6. It looks like around 6.5, 7-inch blade. I find it's acceptable on size. It could be a little bit longer blade. The handle's fine. It's around 4 3/4 overall length. I love the window punch that I put on there. I'm going to put some paracord through here, some cordage. I got some pretty cool cordage that will work for the lanyards. So yeah, I just want to throw this video on here for you guys. Tell me what you guys think. To me, here's my ultimate opinion on these Chinese variants on this model here. If you're going to go to this extent to make it this close, go ahead and put your CNC machine fullers in there. Put you 15 degrees. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. You put 15 degree on here because you want this thing razor sharp. Okay, this is not a knife you're going to be pulling out, chopping stuff in the woods to survival on. This is a knife you're going to be pulling out to save your life. Okay, guys? Let's be realistic about it. I'm going to want the most razor sharp blade that's going to be formidable as hell as I can get, and you get that with a 15 degree. That's why I put 15 degree each side on all my combat knives. Unless I'm doing an alpha tracker and I do 30 degrees. So I want that thing to slice and dice. It's got to be seriously razor sharp. You can't get that with a 20 degree or a 30 degree secondary cutting edges. You just can't. So guys, appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll do demos of these other knives. We'll do reviews, talk about them. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. But I am doing enhancement and modification on these. I may even have to open up the ring here with a Dremel tool. I've got to research that. Make sure that they size that right. But overall, for the price point that I paid for them, it's a cool knife. Once I get the secondary edges squared away, it's going to be badass. And I dig them. Doesn't matter to me if they're made in China. Once you get those secondary cutting edges, they're going to be just as formidable and deadly as any knife out there. Okay, guys? This is Snowman. And just so you guys know, yeah, I would prefer the Russian ones. I'm looking for those. But I enjoy collecting these too, because I like to do the enhancements on them. I'll catch you guys in the next one.